Yesterday we had a very moving Thanksgiving and reconciliation service at the National Gymnasium in Laudala. It was organized by the Council or the Methodist Church of Fiji's committee that sits in between conferences to make decisions on behalf of the Methodist Church. They requested that we put that ceremony on, that service on yesterday. And I thank them for doing that. It is significant to have the Methodist Church do that for us yesterday. The celebration we're having today is to celebrate and commemorate the arrival of Girmitiers into these islands. The first shipload was in 1879. They started the Girmitier movements, sending workers who were virtually slaves to many destinations in the British Empire. We all know, or we have read, that the slave trade was abolished in 1807. There were a group of politicians in England before that who had worked towards the abolition of slave trade. Among them was William Wilberforce, and his spiritual leader was John Wesley. Whether the Methodist Church in Fiji was aware of that or not, I believe it was God's call on the Methodist Church in Fiji to have suggested that we have that service yesterday. And I thank them, and I thank the President, Taltala Ili Winchwai. In that era of sending workers away, a total 1.16 million Indians were sent abroad to work under the agreements. In Fiji, we call them under the Girmitier system, to come and work here. We pay our respects to them and their descendants who are here with us. And this week we've been having a conference, and attending the conference will be representatives from various countries to which Girmitiers or subjects of agreement workers from India were sent. They were sent to British Mauritius, 453,000. British Guyana, 238,000. British Trinidad and Tobago, 147,000. British Jamaica, 36,000. British Malaya, 400,000. British Grenada, 3,200. British St. Lucia, 4,350. Natal, 152,000. St. Kitts, 315. All a very long list. And British Fiji, 60,965. And the list goes on. East Africa, 32,000. Seychelles, 6,315. British Singapore, 3,200. Danish West Indies, 321. A total 1,601,935. And at last count in January this year, they total 32 million around the world. counting global people of Indian origin and non-resident Indians. That's how significant our celebration in Fiji is. I thank my colleagues in government. I thank those that have been thinking about it over the years that has now come to pass. Fellow citizens, on behalf of the People's Coalition government, I warmly welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Rajkumar Ranjan Singh. And thank you, Mr. Minister, for coming all the way to be with us at our celebrations here today. Please convey our highest regards to your Prime Minister. I will tell him next week when we meet that you are here today. And thank the people and the government of India on our behalf on your return. I offer my gratitude to my colleagues, especially the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance and other things, Professor Biman Prasad, for all that they have done to make the ceremonies and activities these last few days a great success. We saw the happiness and the joy of those that marched with their floats onto the ground this morning. Today is a public holiday when we should all be either playing golf or sailing or swimming. And I thank you all for turning up to be part of this celebration here at Albert Park. Our new national holiday honors the Girmit pioneers from India as well as their descendants who are here with us. It has become more than a tribute and a commemoration. The extraordinary Girmit story is now at the center of a new national movement for peace and reconciliation. And it comes from the Methodist Church in Fiji, the nation's largest Christian denomination, which has pledged to enter into a far-reaching agreement to help heal the pain and wounds of the past. I will speak later on in my address about the reconciliation service that was held yesterday. You will have all seen and heard the extensive media coverage about this. I must tell you that what transpired yesterday gives me new hope in my heart for our country. Ladies and gentlemen, it is critical for us to develop a collective memory for Fiji so that more knowledge is available about the Girmitiers and the changes that came with them. In particular, young people from our communities need a greater awareness of the Girmitier experience and other seminal events in our past. We need to know about the contributions they have made. We know that they were exploited and abused. They suffered in many ways, in mind, body, and spirit. When they came ashore, Fiji's future slowly began to take shape. The country began a complex journey leading to ethnic diversity and multiculturalism. The hard-won achievements of the relatives who over generations succeeded the Girmitiers were to have a profound and positive impact. From 1879 to 1916, more than 60,000 people from India crossed the vast seas to our shores. The Girmitier system, or the agreement system of laborers from India, ended in 1920. The last shipload from India to Fiji was in 1916. They were indentured to work on Fiji sugarcane plantations. And the word Girmit and Girmitiya stem from the Indian pronunciation of the employment agreements signed by those new workers. Agreement became Girmit, and an act was passed in Fiji, or regulations was passed. It became an act after independence, the Indian Repatriation Act, which I repealed after 1987. Maybe God calling that I'm still here to introduce this Girmit holiday. The first of the Girmit ships, the Leonidas, anchored near Levuka on May the 14th, 1879, carrying over 450 men, women, and children. It had been a perilous 3-month voyage. Sleeping areas were cramped and unhealthy. Some passengers lost their lives to cholera, dysentery, and smallpox. The Girmitians labored under shocking and cruel conditions akin to slavery. It was a living nightmare, a kind of narak or hell. They were known by numbers, not names, and worked from early morning to evening for pitiful low wages. Suicides were common. If these semi-slaves chose to stay after serving their indentured period, they still faced many challenges. But at least they were free of their bondage. As the years passed, the Girmitiya and their descendants carved out a way of life through sheer grit, determination, and the sweat of their brows. They were fortified by customs, traditions, and beliefs. The Girmitiya gave Fiji the gift of Diwali, the Hindu festival of lights that became one of most loved annual celebrations. It is a truly national spectacle, bringing all our people together. Not long after their liberation, the settlers and their offspring introduced their own informal system of local governance. Many community issues were managed by councils called panchayats, comprising 5 village elders. They were modeled on similar groups influential at the time in India. Eventually, the panchayats faded away to be replaced by the colony's own methods of administration. Recognizing the values of education, Girmitiya groups organized themselves to build schools. Some operate up to this day, catering to children from all our multiracial population. Many Girmitiyas became independent cane farmers. Others moved to different areas of the country to establish shops and other small businesses. Those good with entrepreneurial instincts started family enterprises that gradually expanded and finally became household names. Some still exist today. Girmit descendants also made careers in the civil service, the trades, professions, academics, and politics. They attained prominence in many areas of social and political life. In 1999, Mr. Mahendra Chaudhary became Fiji's first Prime Minister of Girmit ancestry. His tenure in office was tragically destroyed in the chaos and turmoil of the 2000 civilian uprising. When we were campaigning last year for the December election, Girmit and all it has meant was our political agenda. I felt sometime that this aspect of our history and that of the Girmit years should be given greater recognition. I had dialogue with the Fiji Girmit Foundation of New Zealand, and that had been pressing without success for the former government to declare a public holiday. On May the 12th last year, I issued a statement confirming that any government we led would declare a Girmit public holiday. Fortunately, Cabinet approved this in February of this year. I'm very happy that this entire commemoration with its packed program of events has captured the public imagination. Fiji is brimming right now with accounts of the lives and experiences of Girmitiers and those who follow them. I'm going to briefly mention these stories. One is about Professor Biman. Everybody quiet, they don't recognize me. He chairs the Girmit National Committee. He's also a leader of the National Federation Party and a partner of the ruling coalition. Biman says some details of history are unknown and some are classified secret, even to those close to him. But he remembers stories that his grandmother, Bachni, who arrived from India when she was 6 years old, she was taken to Lambasa. And at the end of the indenture system, her family settled in the Ducati area. Biman's father told him that his great-grandfather was from somewhere near Uttarakhand. Is that the place? Uttarakhand, in India. Rice growing in Ducati provided the family income for Biman's parents. He had 7 brothers and 6 sisters. At school, this son of a poor farmer excelled from the start. He was head boy and dux of Ducati Junior Secondary School. He went on to earn his master's degree and PhD and became the first local to serve as dean of the USP's Faculty of Business and Economics. And now, he's left all that good life and elected to work. He has a very large responsibility in charting out the future of the economy of this land. He described himself as a Girmitier descendant, serving his country with passion and determination. Binagawale Biman, for everything that you are doing for us. I introduce you now to Honorable Sashi Kiran. I think she'll be very embarrassed. Always shy, sitting in the corner here behind me. He earned local fame as a champion for the poor when she was director of a prominent community development organization, FRIEND. After successfully contesting the election for our National Federation coalition partner, Sashi became Assistant Minister for Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation. She is chair of the Girmit Day Program Subcommittee, responsible for putting together today's program. Sashi's grandfather, Jagannath, came to Fiji from Parwat, Kera village in Kanpur, India. When his indenture period ended, he tried unsuccessfully to secure a passage back home using the Indian repatriation regulations that I mentioned was repealed after '87. So he stayed on. He married Ramdevi, whose parents came to Fiji after their indenture in the Caribbean. It was difficult for them to be accepted back in India, as they had crossed the Kalapani or Blackwater. Jagan and Ramde had 7 boys and 3 girls. Many of Sashi's relatives, including her mother, now live in New Zealand. Sashi decided not to follow them and carries the family banner here with a group of her cousins. Her connections to this country were sealed when she became one of Luvendra and Ratu, children of the chiefs of the Vanua Nodo, under the leadership or headship of the Marambal and Roktunaket. This unique expression of unity and friendship brought together descendants of Girmitiers like Sashi and the indigenous Fijians and a paramount chief, the Marambal and Roktunaket. Sashi says those Fijians and their chiefs, the late Turanga Bunisale, Ratu, Natuinodo, Ratu Isoa Damdamu, along with the Marambal and Roktunaket, made them welcome and acknowledge them and Luvendra as Luvendra Naratu. That has cemented her roots in Fiji. Sashi, you're staying here, and we say you're staying right here. This country, your country, needs you. One name always stands out in any discussion about the Girmit period and Girmitia. I'm speaking of the late Professor Bridgelal, historian and writer, and who has done more than anyone to chronicle the Girmit experience for the world. I followed very closely how he was badly treated by those previously in power. Along with his wife, Dr. Padma, Professor Lal was prevented from returning to Fiji from Australia. On the day we took office, the 24th of December last year, we set in motion the procedure for his ashes to be brought to his birthplace at Thambia for interment. The local Vanua of Nasoso and Domatalevu announced during the ceremony of Sol Nyango that they had formally acknowledged Professor Bridgelal as one of their own. Dr. Padma says, and I quote, "No words could describe the depth of the family feelings at this moving gesture of traditional acceptance." End of quote. In 2004, in one of his books, Professor Lal asked for how many generations does one have to live in a place to call it home? He was fated to never find out. But for his family, his pertinent question has been answered. Dr. Padma has kept me informed about a major project to be established in memory of her late husband. It will be dedicated to promoting the virtues and the principles of democracy, especially freedom of speech and expression and observance of human rights and the rule of law. And today, I'm able to announce that a working group has been appointed to set up a Bridgelal Democracy for Fiji Foundation. It is putting details in place for registration, hopefully for launch on August the 21st. Ladies and gentlemen and friends, there is a central national theme for all the activities of these last few days. It is the healing, the rebuilding, and the restoration of Fiji. The Girmit Year commemoration is linked to that. What we have witnessed is an appreciation of their descendants that the Girmit saga is now better understood by the wider society in this land. That in itself is a building block for unity. But there are many more building blocks to put in place before Fiji is complete as a nation. The Methodist service yesterday laid part of the foundation for creating another history of Fiji grounded in peace and reconciliation. The country has never before witnessed a ceremony such as that. There was an eloquent, moving speech from the president of the Methodist Church, Reverend Eli Bulinchwai. He expressed the church's atonement for what he considered to be its wrongs against the Girmitier descendants. I made a personal confession about my guilt for leading the 1987 coup and asked for forgiveness. It was given to me freely, and I will be forever grateful for that. Former Prime Minister, Mr. Mahendra Chaudhry, spoke from the depths of his own suffering and gracefully accepted the apologies given on behalf of the Girmitier descendants. A number of leaders of the Indo-Fijian community, including coup victims, expressed their own feelings. All of them held out hope for the future. All of them held out hope for our future. Then we all signed the Forward Fiji Declaration. I will read this to you. We declare no coup but democracy and the rule of law, no disunity but love and understanding, no racism but respect and mutual awareness, no religious intolerance but work for the common good of all. I want it known that I'm totally committed to the renewal of Fiji, and I do not expect it to be easy. All of us in leadership may have to make compromises as we go forward. I'm inspired by the late Archbishop Desmond Tutu's words and his work in opposing removing racial divisions in his own homeland of South Africa. He added the word to the effect that sometimes compromise might not be enough. When that happened, it was necessary for all of us to go further and make sacrifices. There are times when compromise will not be enough. At those times, we should be prepared to make sacrifices. So we need to be asking ourselves, what sacrifices are we prepared to make to transform Fiji? I leave you with a statement I shared with the country at the start of the year. We resolve as Fijians to see beyond those things that have kept us apart, to put behind us the hurt, the sorrows, the tragedies. We resolve to be proud of our differences, to celebrate and accept them as part of our national identity that gives us the foundation and strength for remaking Fiji. Thank you all. May every Girmit day from here on help us continue to build this nation of greater unity. God bless us. God bless Fiji.